Complete time. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the technical session 4 on youth technology and environmental stewardship. This session will be chaired by Professor Dr. Debosri Mukherjee, Dean, School of Law, Sister Nivedita University, Kolkata. I would request ma'am to please come on stage. And I would also request our convener, Dr. Shima Dotto, to kindly felicitate her.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Uh, Thank you for giving me the opportunity to chair this session. I really take this opportunity to congratulate the Department of Sociology for organizing the Young Scholars Workshop and National Conference. And since we are in the technical session 5, and I'm being told that we are running short of time, so each paper presenter should be provided with the time span of 10 minutes to present the paper, and followed by maybe a 5 minutes interaction session. And I have been also told that Riddha Bhattacharya and Rajashri Ghosh, they have placed a request to ensure that their paper gets presented first. So we start off with them, followed by the online paper presentations, and then we go back to the physical paper presentations. Thank you.
So the first participant is Riddha Bhattacharya and Rajashri Ghosh, student of KIIT School of Law, Bhubaneswar, and their paper is titled as Youth-Led Techno-Indigeneity, Reimagining Sustainability.
Good afternoon to everyone present over here. My name is Rajeshri Ghosh and I am presenting on behalf of myself and my co-researcher Riddha Bhattacharya. We are third year students of KIIT School of Law and today we are bringing you findings from a study that has challenged our assumptions and I would like to begin with asking you something unusual. So imagine, if you guys are comfortable, can you just close your eyes for 2 seconds? So imagine this, you are walking through a sacred Adivasi forest, a sarna grove in Jharkhand, where sunlight filters through ancient sal trees that have stood for centuries over there. You hear the rustle of leaves in the wind, the songs of the elders singing there, and the sacred trees which are there are vermilion placed and people are praying over there. You are seeing that men and women are sitting in circle in that area and they are learning governance practices through generations of knowledge which are there, encoded in stories, songs and ceremonies. Now you may open your eyes. So that forest, that sacred space which I just described may no longer be there right now, but it is not physically existing because maybe it is cleared for mining, lost to developmental projects, destroyed in the name of progress. And those elders which I was talking about, they may have passed away. This has led to a disconnection between people and their roots. But what is extraordinary here is, through virtual reality, which I'm going to discuss further, these Adivasi youths which are there, they are bringing their forests back to life, not as museum pieces, but as living, breathing space. So this brings me to the question which is there, what if the future of governance were not designed in government halls, but in virtual ancestral lands? Today, I present research that my co-author and I have conducted on the phenomena we call as youth-led techno-indigeneity, reimagining sustainable governance through VR simulations of ancestral lands. This represents a paradigm shift in how we think about technology, indigenous rights, and environmental sustainability. So let's move forward. So first, let me clear the fundamentals. Who are Adivasi people? They are India's indigenous people, and the term means original inhabitants. They represent 8.6% of India's population and over 104 million people are there across 700 plus tribes speaking 500 plus languages. But their history is one of the systematic dispossession. British colonial forests policies have transformed their common land into state property. Traditional practices like shifting cultivatures, sacred grove protection, community forest management were all criminalized during that period. Post-independence, this have continued. Massive dams displaced millions of people who were indigenous to their own area. Mining operations carved up their lands and developmental projects labeled them backwards. Today, Adivasi communities face an existential crisis: deforestation, cultural erosion, youth migration to cities, loss of traditional languages, and disappearance of ecological knowledge. This brings us to virtual reality or VR. For those unfamiliar, for those unfamiliar, VR is an immersive technology which creates a three-dimensional digital environment and you can interact there. Like watching a video which is two-dimensional, in VR you can place inside the experience. You can walk through the forest, attend ceremonies over there, participate in village assemblies as if you are present already. You can experience that sacred Sarna grove which I described, you can hear it and see it, learn from it. But these indigenous people, what they are doing is they are trying to use this technology not to abandon their tradition but to preserve and amplify it and reimagining them. What I am concerned with is the fourth VR which is there. So the first VR which is, it explains the entertainment and gaming industry. The second VR deals with the educational programs. Third VR is for heritage preservation, and fourth VR which I am discussing is on political, ecological and cultural praxis. So it is not just about creating virtual experiences, but it is about using digital spaces as laboratories to test new governance model rooted in indigenous epistemology. And this fourth VR is about transformation, while the other three is about representation. The primary focus of our paper is how do indigenous youth in India employ virtual reality technology to reconstruct ancestral landscapes and integrate traditional ecological knowledge, thereby challenging colonial and gendered paradigms of forest governance. Secondly, in what ways does youth-led virtual reality facilitate the safeguarding of cultural heritage, the advancement of gender equity, and development of participatory governance model among Adivasi communities? Third, what measurable outcomes such as the cultural knowledge retention which is there and intergenerational engagement arises from this integrating Adivasi epistemology into digital virtual reality platforms? So what we have found is this Adivasi knowledge system and resilience is divided into few parts. There is collective forest governance. The Adivasi communities in India exemplify the sustainable practices and revolve around communal stewardship, emphasizing mutual respect and interdependence with the environment. The colonial laws which were there, it imposed the regulations which undermined the governance which I just discussed and transformed the communal land into state-owned properties and disrupted the cultural practices. Thirdly, the traditional ecological practices, the Adivasi cultural practices including the conservation of the sacred groves, play a crucial role in maintaining ecological balance and biodiversity, which is very much talked about in the recent time. And lastly, digital activism and cultural survival, which deals with the today's Adivasi youth leveraging digital platforms to revive traditional knowledge, promoting cultural resilience, while tackling contemporary environmental and social justice challenges. There are few case studies which explain this. Firstly, Jharkhand's virtual sacred groves. So in Jharkhand what happened, youth collectives are creating immersive reconstruction of this Sarna grove where Munda and Orao communities which are there worship nature spirits. Using this 360-degree video and open resource VR tools like Unity Engine, they have built a digital environment where they can navigate virtual forest, interact with sacred trees, learn to identify about their own culture and identify medicinal plants tied to monsoon cycle and participate in simulated village assemblies. The Kushalyan VR on Cycle initiative which is there, it is a mobile VR lab. These projects like Adivasi Awaz empower youth to generate digital content that amplifies this community's voices. And this is an evidence that reconstruction visualized pre-colonial land tenure system directly challenge the state narratives of this mismanaged forest. Secondly, moving towards Chhattisgarh's example and Northeast, we see that in Chhattisgarh, the virtual reality projects which are there, the women-led forest stewardship is very much prominent over that area. Youth creators worked with the Gond and Baiga communities to record oral histories and ritual performances which are there, who serve and collect the local seed varieties, lead forest rituals and maintain ecological knowledge. These VR modules which are there, they create avatars of real Adivasi women over there who has the knowledge of these seed varieties. The impact over here is profound. Participants who have experienced this, they have reported increased visibility of women's knowledge, sparking discussions about gendered responsive forest policy. VR became a medium for leadership which was not earlier seen, and that formal governance structures were sidelines. Talking about Northeast, Northeast has matrilineal traditions and cultural continuity. In Meghalaya and Nagaland, youth collaborated with elders to create this immersive reconstruction of virtual reality. There were sacred groves, harvest festivals, agricultural cycles to matrilineal traditions. The virtual reality tribal art museum were made by them, focusing on the Naga tribes who preserve cultural artifacts and ecological histories. The Khasis matrilineal simulations feature immersive paths leading to virtual clan meetings where land uses decisions are debated. The measurable impact and barriers which are there, let me discuss about that. So the project showed that 40 to 60% increase in youth familiarity with this traditional ecological knowledge after VR exposure. Elder reported that they have revived their interest in this entire thing and in shared stories leading to community engagement workshops, deepening their intergenerational engagement. In one article which was there, they said that 25% rise in local advocacy for sacred grove protection was seen. But there are structural barriers which persist. For example, only 30% of the Adivasi youth who are getting this facility, we can say, because we see there is a digital divide. Most people in the rural area are unable to use internet and get those facility to use this VR equipment because the technology has not reached those areas. Theoretical contribution and implication, we see that firstly, decolonial governance is seen. The fourth VR challenges epistemic colonialism by entering indigenous knowledge as foundational but not supplementary. It demonstrates that epistemic delinking which is there, which creates spaces where indigenous frameworks guide governance, not Western models. And the very own models which have been used in India for centuries are used again. Secondly, feminist ecology can be seen. VR amplifies the women's stewardship role, disrupting patrilineal forms, and building on this work, we can see how ancestral wisdom and technological innovation can coexist, producing governance that both rooted and experimented. Practically, this matters for environmental governance because as climate change accelerates, indigenous knowledge becomes crucial for adaptation, and fourth, VR offers scalable model which can be seen in participatory governance that prioritize reciprocity over exploitation. Moving forward, the call for action which I am going to ask is, may I continue? Policy makers are there who can subsidize this VR infrastructure for tribal communities so they can use it more efficiently and easily. Integrate these tools in the framework like India's national education policy which is there so that students while learning can go through the process. NGOs and funders who are there, they can support these youth-led initiatives, sustaining funding and help to reach the product in market so that it remains accessible to the rural people as well. And lastly, the tech developers who are there, they can build culturally appropriate and accessible tools for community for better access. So, I want to conclude with saying that the forest which I asked you to imagine is real now. It is no more a nostalgia or a history which we say. We cannot maybe reach there physically, but digitally we can always be there with this technology which has arrived. And in that digital space, Adivasi youth aren't just preserving their memories, they are engineering futures that are ecologically sustainable, culturally rooted and gender equitable. Through fourth VR, they are proving that indigenous epistemologies aren't relics, but they are blueprint which are helping in survival of the model. Sacred Grove teach ethics of care, seasonal cycle, encode climate resilience, and women's stewardship model helps them in inclusive governance. So the question is whether we should pay attention or not, it's whether we are willing to learn from them, support them and let their vision reshape the governance system we all desperately head towards. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The eye-opening presentation indeed, but I have two questions for you. The first is, all these practices that have just been initiated and are considered to be, women empowerment strategies that will help in the long run, also will help us create a climate resilient society. To what extent, through your research, have you found are governmental initiatives helping in the development of such activities?
Ma'am, government initiatives are there. The constitution also provides framework through the
No,
fifth.
those are legal frameworks that are there for governments to follow. It is the obligation of the government. But during your research, have you come across governmental initiatives? You have mentioned about the Northeast, about Jharkhand. So, are there government initiatives undertaken to ensure that such kinds of VR models or practices, they gain more prominence and they act as more eye openers or awareness creating campaigns towards the objectives that you have mentioned?
Ma'am, finding about the VR particularly, there was no such initiatives that government is taking right now. But the practice of Viksit Bharat, we are seeing that they are trying to bring back the indigenous practices and helping people to stay connected with their roots. The virtual reality thing is just coming up on surface, and it has not yet reached that hype, we can say, that government will fund or subsidize. But they are following new policies like the Viksit Bharat, which I just mentioned. They are helping people to stay connected and go back to their roots and reclaim their ancestral knowledge.
Okay, this is one. The second is, with the help of these practices that you have cited, I think there is another aspect that you can think about consideration in your paper. Like when you mentioned that through the different case studies, that they are helping in creation of climate resilient societies and also the women empowerment, or helping in the creation of hybrid seed varieties which are climate resilient varieties and all that. You can talk about community seed banks, right?
Yes.
They are very much there in different states, and if I remember correctly, Jharkhand has actually a number of community seed banks which are managed, monitored, administered by women in the rural areas. So these kinds of practices can actually help gain more prominence about these seed banks and help in not only promotion on conservation of the environment, but also help them in their economic empowerment. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
ma'am.
Any other questions from the audience which they are willing to put forward? Okay, thank you so
Thank you.
much. Yes, yes.
Yeah. So thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank
This
you,
was
ma'am.
really very encouraging.
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to ask, out of curiosity, when you are doing your research, you must have spoken to the youth. And then what is, their kind of interest to join the political system? Because what we see is youth participation in the political sphere in India is really low. So, how to kind of, what would be your idea as a young researcher? And what do you see among these youths, their idea of political participation to bring about change from within? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, I come from Rourkela. It is a place in Odisha, in the western part, and it is very close to Jharkhand. So there are many inhabitants, and in Odisha also we see tribal people. There is a large chunk of tribal people, those who are staying there. So talking to them, I found that political interest is actually very low, and they are more interested in saving their own cultural identity which is there, rather than focusing on any political participation, though they prefer to vote for a leader who is belonging from their own background. They tend to vote people because from their own background, because they feel that maybe they could represent their interest and the need which they have, and can address those issues they face on par. So this is what I found, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
So now if we may connect to the online presentations, the first person is Moushumi Haldar.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Moshumi Halda, you may start your presentation.
Thank you. I am Good afternoon, sir and madam. I am Moshumi Haldar. Now I present my title is Parenting Children in the Usage of Digital Devices. In the modern digital era, technology has become an integral part of our daily lives, but recently has opened up a fantastic world of opportunities in our lives, especially for the upcoming generation who are almost youngest digital devices from beginning of the life. Nowadays, most of nuclear family is considered as the primary agent of child development and socialization, and also within family, parents play an important role in the basic development of their children. We also know that children will learn the norms, values, customs, moralities, and any others activity through their parents. So, proper development of children comes from their parents. According to the family system theory, that children development is primarily related to interaction among other factors within family members. Therefore, children development and well-being is highly dependent on qualities of their parents' relationships and behavior towards their children. In 2024, children's technology usage continued to be revealed with the new trends including increased smartphone ownership. Though parenting is an art, but nowadays it encompasses unique challenges and opportunities. Therefore, parents are requiring to learn how to usage of latest version of technology devices to guide their children. Today, children are digital native because of before the newborn baby is coming, would-be parents can use to learn parenting tips through the use of various apps in their smart gadgets like Milo, First Cry. For toddlers, popular and engaging YouTube channels include Cocomelon, Super Simple Songs, Choo Choo TV, Blippi, as well as educational options like PBS Kids, Sesame Street, Little Baby Bum. These channels offer a mix of music, educational content, and entertaining colorful animation videos designed to capture toddlers' attention. So, technology use has become a dominant feature of modern parenthood. The presence of digital devices can disrupt caregiver and responsiveness and reduce the quality of parents child interactions, leading to increased child behavior problem and poor relationships, according to Springer. Secondly, language plays a crucial role in symbolic interactionism as the primary medium through which meaning are created, shared, modified. George Herbert Mead's theory of self-development proposits that a children's sense of self emerges through social interactions and participation in organized activities, progressing through three stages: preparatory stage, game stage, play stage, and generalized other. Social cognitive theory proposes that expectation of efficiency influence the degree to which individuals put forth and sustain effort despite difficulty. In 1917, the article of the Theory of Stages in Cognitive Development, Jean Piaget, outlined children move through four different stages of mental development. The first stage is sensory motor stages. Senses are teaches reflection, actions in imitative behavior and object performance. In this stage, children not only learn how to perform physical actions such as crawling and walking, they also learn language from the people with whom they interact. Piaget's second stage of intellectual development is the pre-operational stage, which occurs between 2 to 7 years. Children start using symbols and language, struggle with logical thinking, also egocentric. Concrete operational stage is the third stage of development when children mind develop logical thought about concrete events, and the formal operational old stage adolescents develop their capacity for abstract and hypothetical thought. In my research, objective is to explore how modern technology devices are affecting parenting of new generations and therefore what's impact fall on their children's lives. For this perspective, I also used purposive sampling of 50 parents to their children age group of 6 months to 10 years in the area of South Chobbish Parganas. Qualitative and quantitative both are primary data used by descriptive survey model, which aims to describe how is the parents and children relationships in the digital era and also examine child's mental and physical health development. In my respondents, 20 are male or 30 is female respondents. At first, we are seeing that both husband and wife nowadays are involving for income related activities. For this reason, now parents are becoming detached from their children long time in a day. As a result, they do not spend enough time for their child and children become more aggressive, addicted towards technology for their free time. In my study, 10 respondents of housewives, nevertheless, they don't proper monitoring their children in home
Moshumi,
because
am I audible? Moshumi, am I
yes,
audible to you? Yes. Since we are running short of time, if you may just point out the findings of your research and thereafter come down to your conclusions, please.
okay, ma'am. in home because of they often use technology to help to keep their child in busy in time that they complete their household work, sometimes so that few respondents give answer the mobile phone or tv to their give to their child because of they want to spend some time for themselves. Spending time of responding in on using technology, 30% and 40% of respondent using Facebook internet less than 1 hour, and approximately 40% are using this mode 2 or 3 hours in daily, because of their logical reason or habituated purpose. In this study, my tended to effective modern technology devices on child parenting and its impact, realizing the importance of children behavior and parents on screen time in their daily lifestyle. From the research, mother's role is most influential to have impact on their child's behavior. Those are parents who spend their daily routine in systematic manner and personal involvement with their child development is well-being. Some respondents said that use of technology, their child suffer various problems like low self-esteem and anxiety, destroy basic interaction skill, aggressive behavior, health problems like eye problems, spondylitis. In my research, many respondents use too many mobile apps like TikTok, Instagram Reel, Facebook, photos upload with their children. So, video making time children also attract this colorful version. Research have shown negative dimensions between screen time, particularly television viewing, and the development of physical and cognitive abilities. The advancement of technology in recent years has led to increased screen-based technology usage among young people, coinciding with a decrease in their engagement with nature and impacting their mental health and overall well-being. Research show that many respondents said that excessive use of electronic devices, especially before bedtime, lead to sleep disorder. Children and adolescents increased fatigue impact on their children's academic performance. Language development is also affected by screen times of new baby learner who just able to learn to talk. Although technology does provide many positive impact in my respondents, that it enhances independent learner and promoting critical thinking of their children, and also contact with family and friends who are outside in the family or state. So digital screen time has also diminished the quality and interactions between children and his family members. In my conclusions, children are more likely to imitate their parents. They always try to follow the attitude, thoughts, feelings, rules from their parents. So, parenting style is an important factor in child development and socialization in technology-based society. Screen time have also both positive and negative effect between parents and parenting style. Only parents can managing and reducing screen time by raising awareness, providing behavioral control to their children. Parents should managing their own screen time, otherwise excessive screen usage can also lead to problems in social emotional development of their children, and also finally family will become imbalanced. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Moshume. The paper that you have presented on parenting children in the usage of digital devices, this definitely is an issue of immense concern, considering the digital spaces that we move in the present day. Now, my question to you is, you have highlighted through your research that the impact of usage of the digital spaces by the children is because the parents are not able to devote enough amount of time to the family for various reasons, be it for their work, be it for their own engagement, or whatever be the purpose. And that has negatively impacted on the children. My question to you is, how therefore do you suggest as a researcher that what kind of means that parents should look into, apart from engaging into more quality time spending with the children, by way of which the children's sessions with the digital spaces can be more done in a better manner, by way of which their growth and development does not stand impeded? What mechanisms should the parents observe, apart from spending quality time with the children, or maybe reducing their own screen times? What else do you suggest? Because through your paper, what you have presented, I come across two major suggestions that you have given. One, and these are the two suggestions that you have given. But beyond that, what are the means? Okay, we understand that the mother's role is very important, and the mother therefore plays an integral role in trying to control the time span that is used in the engagement towards the digital services. But beyond that, as a parent, today we cannot totally say that children should not use the computer, or does not engage in different type of ways where they are involved in using the internet. So beyond that, what else do you think should be taken note of by parents as part of their exercise towards parenting children in this digital age?
From uh, children, parents try to short trick from their children. So therefore, uh, low of rate technology use and family get together and conversation with their children with better.
Okay. So, according to you, the worth of the family and the worth of socializing in qualitative spheres is something which you are highlighting at. But you may consider it as a suggestion from my end. It is also equally important that parents try to guide their children on the safe use of the digital spaces, on the kind of issues that they may face when they tread into spaces which they should not. And I think this awareness about the proper and the secured use of the digital spaces is also something that has to be made understood to them in a lucid manner, so that they know that these spaces are to be used for productive engagement in qualitative manner, rather than getting disengaged or using them in ways which might hamper their lives in future. This is
Yes,
one area which
yes,
I
sir.
think you need also to incorporate in your paper. Okay? Any other
Okay.
questions from the uh, audience? Any questions from the audience? No. Ma'am? Yes.
Hello, Moshumi. Thank you for the
Yes,
presentation. It is a very important topic. So, I'm sure you spoke with the parents as well. And when we are talking about, how parents are not being able to kind of guide their children in the quote unquote correct way, we probably also need to understand, what are the challenges faced by today's parents. they are mostly, if you are looking into a particular social class category, I'm sure they are both working parents. And then, as working parents in a nuclear family setup, what are the challenges that the parents are facing? And what would they want to do about these challenges? When we face some challenges, we would want to do something about it. So, what is your understanding of the challenges that the parents are facing, and what is their understanding how to face these challenges? Did you speak to the parents about this? Were there any reflections? Thank you.
Nowadays, children are becoming more screen times. They spend continue in technology, so their manners are is not normal. Abnormality is highly shown. Their daily lifestyle is not proper way, so therefore imbalance.
Moshumi, can you hear me? The question that ma'am has asked you is, while doing your research, you must have also interviewed or spoken to the parents, and what is their response in the manner in which they try to, engage in trying to control the areas where, because of their engagement in employment or other activities, they themselves are not able to give enough time to their children. So according to them, what is their reflection as to how they can take care of these aspects? I hope I'm correct in the understanding of the question. So she's asking you not from the children's side, but from the side of the parents. What was their response in so far as trying to meet up these challenges, that they understand that they are not able to engage in qualitative discourses with their children?
Mobile phone has many apps. So they saw cartoon many times, but now sometimes in scrolling various aspects on the screening, so they are interested this matter, so that is challenges.
Okay. So maybe I think ma'am understanding from what she says, she perhaps has not put these questions. So maybe what you can do is, when you will be, it's a suggestion from our end, that when you will be further working on this research paper, you may think of incorporating questions on asking the parents as to how they feel are the proper ways of engagement with their children, by way of which they can take note of these kinds of issues that they are coming across. And I think one more area coming from the discussion with ma'am and you as of now, what I realize is, today's parents, whether they are from the different social constructs, or whether they are living in urban spaces or in the rural spaces, at this point in time, the mobile phone engagement is there very much also in the rural spaces. But the problem there is, there the parents are also not educated to the extent to understand which particular spaces are secured spaces for their children or for them, and which are not. So there is a necessary engagement sessions with the parents which have to be undertaken at the societal level, whereby the parents are made aware about the security measures that they should adopt while treading in the digital spaces, so that they also understand the importance of these measures, and they can pass it on to their children. the next generation. Okay, thank you, Moshumi. Let's move on to the next paper presenter, Nikita Shaha. So I don't have the name of the other person who will be presenting online. There are three participants. Okay, Joita Sen and Shagnik Chakraborty will present together separately. So if we may call upon Madam Joita Sen to present her paper. Hello.
Hello, I'm ready.
Yes, please present your paper. If you are using a PPT, please share your PPT with on the screen so that it is visible to us. Madam, do you have a PPT to present?
Yeah, actually I'm not able to share this PPT.
Okay, in that case,
I have some.
Did you share the PPT with the organizers?
Yeah, I mailed it.
Okay, can we have it on the screen, please?
I don't know why it is not sharing.
It's okay, ma'am. We are trying it from our end so that the PPT is visible to you and you may continue with your presentation. Please give us 2 minutes of time. Okay, madam. The organizers request you to wait for until the next presentation is done. By the time they'll fix your presentation so that you can present properly.
Okay.
Okay. We request Shagnik Chakraborty to please present his paper.
Hello.
Hello, am I audible?
ওদের এইটা আমি হ্যাঁ
Joita ma'am, you may please mute your account so that Shagnik can present his paper. Yes, please go ahead, Mr. Chakraborty.
Yeah. Ma'am, may I share my PPT?
Yes, please.
I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, your screen is visible, the PPT is visible, you can go ahead.
First of all, good afternoon to the fellow paper presenters as well as the respected ma'am. So my primary topic of exploring gender dynamics in idol making, realizing social identity creation among female idol makers, intersection of sexual division of labor and emotional labor. And we can initiate the discussion by giving a brief intro about Kumotuli, or rather the geographical and social landscape of Kumotuli, how it have came about to become a very intricate space for iconographic processual. But we can apparently start with the fact that Kumotuli, that is renowned for its intricate idol making, has historically been dominated by the male artisans, with the women or the female artisans or idol makers confined to supportive roles. Over here, I'm primarily speaking of the female artisans who do not own a particular workshop. Now, this gendered division of labor is sort of rooted in the processual of caste homogeneous structures, which are shaped by endogamous marriage practices and the kingship systems as explored by A.R. Sarkar and S. Roy in their ethnographic work of 2019. Now, the Kumbhakar caste sort of associated with the pottery who have sought a form of evolution in their occupational roles from pottery to the iconographic processuals and later to theme pujas, dominates this particular close-knit community, serving as a form of social capital, but also reinforcing gender norms, limiting the female artisans' opportunities for innovative aspects within this particular specialty. Now, the women are often restricted to the behind the scenes roles, enhancing the social recognition but limiting visibility. And varied previous ethnographic researchers have offered broad insights into Kumotuli's artisanal life and aesthetics, but have sort of overlooked the individual female experiences. And this paper tries to examine the sexual division of labor that is intertwined with the emotional labor among the female idol makers of Kumotuli, and how these processual apparently determine their identity formation among the unique speciality of the particular area I'm speaking on. If we move into the methodology, we can see that this study sort of utilizes qualitative data from both primary and secondary sources to explore the sexual division of labor among the female idol makers, examining their experience in both private and professional spaces. And the primary data were collected through observation and unstructured interactions, focusing on sociocultural forces influencing identity formation. A sample of 12 idol making families with over 60% female respondents were being chosen using snowball sampling to access spaces where women balance roles as housewives and artisans, and conducted in Kumotuli's Ward 8 and 9 in September 2023. This study sort of involves some aspects of spatial mapping, daily observations, and the unstructured interactions, alongside the theoretical frameworks of sexual division of labor by Maria Mais and emotional labor by Ale Hochschild, which also sort of utilizes partial frameworks, or rather partially it utilizes other theoretical frameworks such as the cultural capital by Pierre Bordeaux, or the notion of non-place by Mark Ogg. For analysis of the female artisans' identities. Now, if we go to the next aspect, sort of tries to focus on the role of caste as a form of social capital. Now, this particular topic is a very broad topic, and it is also a very superficial topic, to be precise, which sort of indicates to the paradox of spatial belonging and placemaking that sort of refers to the broader notion of hierarchy matrix that is prevalent within the community structure. Now, in Kumotuli, we can say that idol making is a skill that has been passed down through the Pal community or the Rudrapal community, where caste homogeneity acts as a form of social capital, promoting trust as well as resource sharing. Men typically handle visible ritual tasks like that of sculpting and painting of eyes, while women support with material preparation and decoration, reflecting a sexual division of labor. During Durga Puja, the female idol makers join workshops blending public and private spaces. That is a shift that can be sort of noted through the processual of oral histories. And Mohar Pal, another an idol maker to whom I spoke with, points out that this caste identity offers a recognition, but also limits women's work to domestic roles, reinforcing dependency. And this is apparently a concern that Maria Mais also raises about the undervaluing of their efforts in the processual of production. Now, mutual aid, such as that of the shared tools, which sort of includes or which have been included in the processual of work, supports the community but restricts women's socio-economic independence. And then this sort of relates to what I felt relates to Gayatri Spivak Chakraborty's notion of subaltern identity to some extent, invoking the notion of strategic essentialism, where we find that the marginalized groups, as suggested by Spivak, adopts essential identities to leverage which the female idol makers, or leverage the identities which the female idol makers of Kumotuli do by using the caste support to access the spaces of the workshop during the peak seasons. And this leads us to the last section of this particular segment, where we find that the caste structure collates or creates a dual effect, where trust and cooperation coexist with marginalization, and the communities offer sort of supports to the female idol makers. For example, the shared childcare during the seasonal surges, or share of equipments, or help during the day-to-day lives, but also sort of limits the professional recognition unless driven by necessity, such as that of husband's or father's death. Now, this leads us to the next aspect, that is the emotional labor, where we can can say that the women in Kumotuli navigate diverse emotions, balancing the stress of deadlines with the pride of cultural tradition within their craft, and they sort of manage customer expectation and demands from male artisans, as well as that has been shaped by the gendered labor norms, while also fulfilling the roles of housewives and the daughters. This emotional labor can be empowering, enhancing the customer relations and idle marketability, but it also imposes additional burdens on their demanding roles, often without adequate recognition. This particular segment has been divided into two parts. The first part tries to focus or explore the notion of family and community roles, where we can say that the emotional labor involved in managing familial relations reinforce the women's identities within the communities, making them indispensable both at home and work. China Pal, a very renowned idol maker, highlights how women are socialized through caste homogeneity to balance household as well as professional duties, navigating their sensory overloads with a stoic resolve. She also mentions that during Durga Pujo, intensified work pressures with extended hours makes the female artisans immerse in the grind of clay molding as well as the auditory hums of urgent orders, while leaving the family members to handle domestic tasks like that of meal preparation and child rearing. This often sparks tension as the scent of the unfinished idol lingers into the home life, blurring the boundaries between the private and the public, or rather I would say creates a continuum between the private and the public. This leads us to the next section, which sort of focuses on the fact that how initially frustrated by conflicts, China Pal, or rather I would say conflicts with her daughter, China Pal mentions that how she has adapted a mechanized, emotionally detached approach to cope up or cope up with the scenario, suppressing personal distresses to maintain harmony. She views this as a process of preparing her daughter to the similar role-based challenges where emotional labor transforms sensory chaos into performative resilience, sustaining a spatial belonging that is apparently male-dominated. Now, if we go to the second aspect that is related to the client relations, we can say that the female idol makers in Kumotuli navigate emotional taxing, or rather I would say taxing cliental expectation, enhancing their professional reputation and affirming identities such as like that of the skilled artisans. And over here we can refer to the example of Arati Pal, who is another renowned idol maker and artisan from Kumotuli, who initially confined to clay structuration amidst the workshop, or rather workshop of her husband, that is a sort of dimly lit, confined and male-dominated bustle, where she apparently has to face or had to face gender stereotypes that is generalized in terms of dismissing women's capacity to handle large orders. Only after her husband's death, she did assume control, enduring social awkwardness, physical humiliations, and skeptical bargaining in the crowded, compartmentalized spaces. Now, according to her, community support from the caste homogeneity provided a safety net, reinforcing the dependence while enabling her to detach emotionally. That is apparently again invoking the mechanized approach as per Hochschild, which is apparently important to ensure client loyalty amid cycles of production efficiency and disruption. This leads us to the section of sexual division of labor and spatial dynamics. Sexual division of labor might be sort of distinct from in its approach and physicality in context to Kumotuli, but again, the intersection of the two becomes the base of this research, and it sort of involves the use of one's sexuality to the context of work and production relation to gain efficiency. And feminist scholar Maria Mais critiques this by tracing its origin to the capitalist economies, where women's domesticated work, or domestic works to be precise, was separated from men's public labor. And Maria Mais argues that the patriarchal control confined women to the private sphere, rendering their labor unacknowledged and undercompensated. Again, this particular section has been divided into two parts. The first part is about how the female idol makers tries to navigate the male-dominated spaces of Kumotuli, where primarily Kumotuli's workshops are being spatially organized with men occupying the central, well-ventilated spaces for sculpting, while women's labor is put into peripheral spaces that are dimly lit areas or with less visible tasks that they perform in those areas, like that of preparation of clay, painting of idols' torsos, or tying tying of straws, as explored by S. Bandyopadhyay in her ethnographic work. And this sexual division of labor underscores a tenacity in the crowded spaces due to the construction of compartmentalized abstract zones that reinforce the hierarchy. Yet these conditions foster protective network among the female idol makers, reinforcing their identity and agency at the same temporal framework. So over here, we can sort of introduce Mark Ogg's concept of non-place, which are transient anonymous zones, which are sort of devoid of relational depth to some extent. But again, beyond that context, new form of relativities are being formed because of the active network relations that are being constructed within the workshop spaces, and because of the human, non-human cognitions that have been explored by the female idol maker in the spaces.
Shagnik, if you may please conclude, because we are running.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just moving into the concluding portion. I think because of time constraint, I will not be focusing on these aspects. I will just move into the sexual division of labor and emotional labor. So, in particular context, in a very generalized notion, I can say that the information that has been sort of explored through the identities of the female idol makers profusely shape identities, or rather identity formation, processual and labor invisibility. However, various key themes can emerge from this intersection, like that of the labor identity, including skill recognition, emotional capital, community solidarity, or social capital, or professionalization and workspace dynamics. However, beneath these observation lies the reality that gendered norms, particularly within the caste homogeneous clusters, reinforce the sexual division of labor, and this perpetuates the discourse linking production relations, pauperization, and intersection of emotional and sexual division of labor. Now, the male workshop owners often downplay women's contribution, claiming that they merely sit in the house assisting with the idol making during leisure time. And this extreme exploitation is facilitated by the production system that reinforces the housewife ideology, where the women are primarily seen as domestic workers, even though they often serve as the main earners for the family. Even in instances where the female artisans own a workshop, they continue to define their primary roles as housewives besides being an artisan. And this perception, whether rooted in historicity or self-rationalization, plays a key role in the exploitation of labor. And the notion that they are just housewives obscures their true role in production and allows for the extraction of surplus value from their labor. This has again been explored by Maria Mais, where she argues that the semi-precarization of men and housewifeization of women are not transitional but essential to capital accumulation. In Kumotuli, women's labor is seen as an extension of their household duties, blurring the boundaries between the home and the workshop. And Jhumurpal, a female idol maker, exemplifies this by stating that her primary arena of work is at home, while her husband expects service from her on his return from the workshop. And the services of the domesticated woman are legitimized by men's role as heads of the household and primary breadwinners, and the female idol makers are socialized to perceive men's role as superior in both private and the public spheres. This dynamic is sort of compounded by younger generations' reluctance to engage in idol making, increasing women's responsibilities in sustaining the family. Runupal's experience highlights this, as her husband's refusal to continue practice exhibited by gambling forced her into this particular trade. Now, if I move into the final sections, we can say that female artisans struggle to assert their identities as co-workers rather than helpers, and to some extent, the census data of 2011 also sort of categorizes them as housewives, further obscuring their role in production. An anonymous source details this effort made to convince the male workshop owners that the female idol makers are co-workers rather than subordinates, and even after 5 to 10 years of hands-on experience, it is a difficult task. Now, this underscores the invisibility of labor and time. The female idol makers invest in idol making, which remains under-recognized even by the men working alongside. When asked about the dynamics of labor between the male and the female idol makers, the female idol maker remarked that men see their workshop labor as primary resource of livelihood, justifying the rest at home, and meanwhile, women's labor is being viewed as an extension of their domestic duties. This sort of complicates the paradox between the female artisans' attempts to assert their identities as idol makers. Now, if I move into the concluding part, overall, we can say that the caste homogeneous gender roles are rooted in tradition that are defined by the household as women's primary workspace, with idol making seen as an extension of their leisure time amidst the complex production relations that happens or takes place between the continuum of their workshop and their homes. But this sort of creates an ambiguity, what I felt, around their labor, that where the labor is actually situated or where the labor is officially recognized. The blurred boundaries between the private and the public spaces disrupt the identity formations in context to the flux sense of spatial belonging that they navigate through their dual roles as housewives and artisans. And this duality is shaped by the sexual division of labor and emotional labor that is particularly evident within the caste homogeneous neighborhood where the woman navigate the multisensory speciality of places. This complexity is further, this complexity is can make it difficult to disentangle the relationships and roles that women occupy within the community. And further, this sort of clear-cut compartmentalization or the division of labor in Kumotuli is marked by an overlapping of roles. There is no clear-cut compartmentalization, but there is an overlapping of role which is determined by the continuum between the workshop and the home labor or home-based labor. And lastly, this negotiation between the domesticity and empowerment that has been explored through the identity formation of the female idol makers, it creates a unique tension where the labor is both in their where the labor in both their workshop and home often remains under recognized or unrecognized due to blurred boundaries of their private and professional lives, as mentioned by Federici in his article. Now, these are my references. I don't know, it got muddled up together for some reason, but
Thank you, Shagnik, for that wonderful presentation on the nuances of the ideal making communities and the gendered roles that you have very beautifully depicted, wherein we come to understand that there's a large precedence of human rights violations that are happening insofar as the women involved in these idol making activities are concerned, and how they are trying to balance both the home and the work front and still not gaining the rightful recognition which they deserve. My question to you is, as a person from the sociology background, or like, how do you think changes can be brought about in the in the identities of these persons, by way of which their prominence, both as a person in the home space as well as their recognition in the workspaces where they belong and where they contribute, can be enhanced or can be recognized?
Primarily speaking, if I have to think about the implications of this particular research, or how on-field implications might come about, or changes might come about, it is a very difficult process at this point of time to be very precise, or rather I would say to point it out clearly, that this particular community cluster.
On one day. Changes cannot happen on one day, but there can be initiatives undertaken by way of which, because you have rightfully pointed out that their engagement in the economic roles that they reflect upon, their contribution to the cultural identity that they belong to, their contribution also in the home spaces, they remain unrecognized even after 75 years of independence. But I mean, we need changes to this. So, what do you think can lead to the initiation of that change?
And I feel the thing is, as I mentioned, that there is a lot of ambivalence in this particular field, and the changes are not actually coming to my mind at this point of time. But yes, if I have to say about the initiatory proposition, I can say that if something can be visualized in terms of the nature of work, I'm not saying that they are not getting exposure in the mainstream media, or they are not getting exposure in context to what we say social media as such, because the thing is, at this point of time, Kumotuli is apparently a very hot topic for each and every person who has an account on social media, who is following the news. But the thing is, that if we can sort of visualize their nature of work instead of the mainstream media exposure, like if the process in which or the toil in which they are apparently constructing an idol, the toil which that has been sort of visualized or exposed in their day-to-day realities, day-to-day lived realities of negotiating with the constricted spaces or per se the critical spaces of the community. I feel that can be an initiative proposition to get into the field and initiate changes.
Okay. The other question is just a curiosity after hearing you present your paper, which has come to my mind is,
Hello, am I audible?
can I continue? Okay. So it's just a curiosity which makes me ask you this question, that while you were undertaking the research and speaking, the with the respondents in that at that point in time, what were their reflections on the next generation of the idol makers? Like, do the children, or do the same context of the supporting role of the female, that ideologies continue sinking even into the next generation's minds, as a result of which the chances of bringing about the change become more remote?
It does. It does to some extent, because the fact is, like, the next generation wants to come into this particular position only at was that they are apparently trying to use virtually as an in between space to explore the imaginative level. Like, they want to go out of this particular community. And on the other hand, there are a few generational idol makers or idol making families where both the female idol makers as well as the male idol makers, or rather I would say children in those families, are apparently being taught the craft.
Okay. Any other question from the spectators, from the audience? Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chakravarti, and it was very insightful discussion from your slides. But being a present scholar in just in your time, I just have seen your presentation. So first of all, I just give one advice that you have written in every slide a lot of things, a lot of lines. So it was not much observable and was not possible to understand what you have written there. So if you please consider that. And the question is that you have already mentioned that the Kumartuli women, the idol makers, are getting some kind of chances to do their activities in a more prolific way. They are getting orders and all the things. So in a sense, they are getting their drudgery in an increased manner. But alongside that, their development is also happening. They are in the situation to make their own decisions and money making decisions. Oh, he has left, I think, ma'am. Time is short. Has he come? He has not come.
Hello, am I audible?
Mr. Chakraborty, are you present, Mr. Chakraborty?
Yes, actually, got lost.
Oh, yeah, definitely it was a technical glitch. Anyway, I was just making one advice that least try to write some less in your slides. Otherwise, no one can see
Yes,
what
sir.
you have
Yes.
written. And my question is that in a way, the women rosary is increasing, and in another way, the development is also happening. So, what should we see? And if there is some negative things, then what would be your suggestions or way forwards? Because just getting some problems in some kind of communities or some lives will not be everything in a social science, especially in the sociology, because the sociology is depending upon the logic. So if you have seen some problem, then there should be some kind of suggestions or some kind of fruitful helps for them. So if you have observed or have thought anything relating that, then you may please say about that. Thank you.
So at this point of time, uh, I don't think that I have any suggestion related to the same, but uh, for that matter, I think I would be going to the field and again exploring this particular topic in the direction you have given me. And I feel that would be far more helpful for me, and I could answer you later on if we meet again. So I feel that's the thing.
I think you have one more question, Shagnik.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Shagnik. Thank you very much for your presentation. It was a very interesting presentation and a very good paper. So I was just curious to know from you when you were speaking to artists like China Pal or say Aruti Pal, did
Yes, ma'am.
they narrate to you their experience of when they first made their own workshop? What were the challenges that they faced, and how did they overcome those challenges? And did they have an artistic expression in terms of their creation? Did it come through in their artwork? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, they did. Uh, Arati Pal is more focused on Shabiki traditions or Shabiki style of iconography, which she continuously kept on insisting on the fact that the traditional iconography that has been presented in the landscape of Kolkata is actual iconography in context to the ritualization or sanctification of what we say this particular festival of Durga Puja. And China Pal, on the other hand, was a bit reluctant to think about theme pujas. Though she is apparently, or though she apparently kept on mentioning the fact that they are doing it because of sustenance, because they have to sustain their families. But on the other hand, they think that theme pujas are not the actual real pujas, or theme pujas are something of artistic expression to some extent. But again, it is more of a mechanized thing. It is more of continuously producing something, continuously producing like in an industry factory build. I'm not speaking primarily of theme pujas in context to the artistic expressions that have been seen in the current landscape of Durga Puja that has been expressed by Sanatan Dinda or the other artists as explored in Tapati Thakurata's work in the name of the goddess. But I am speaking primarily in context to the idols, because at this point of time there has been a shift in the fact that the idols have been constructed in context to the marquees, and not the marquees are constructed in context to the idols. So this has been the thing. Besides that, they have also mentioned or gave me exposure about a lot of their lived realities. I would not say they did not. Did speak about a lot about the community constraints that they have been facing, but on a very brief note, they have been, or in a very vague process, they have been mentioning all these things, and they gave me exposure to a lot of stories that how their artistic journey began, or how apparently people went to their about the acrylic painting and etc. So I feel this is the whole scenario.
Okay, thank you, Shagnik. We move on to the next researcher.
What I came across
Okay,
while speaking
thank you, Shagnik.
to Arati Pal and Chanda Pal. Another very interesting aspect that I came across while I was asking that which part of the workshop is.
I think there is an audibility issue, and I think we are running out
Sorry,
of
sir.
time, Shagnik. There is a serious
Thank you,
audibility
ma'am.
issue. Okay. We Joita Sen left? Okay. Madam Joita Sen, if you can start with your presentation. Am I audible to you, Madam Sen?
Am I audible?
Yes. Yes, you are audible. Your slide is visible. You may please carry on, Professor.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I want to convey my thanks to the organizer for providing online chances because actually it is a working paper. I could not complete it because I gave up the idea because of some reason to present here in the conference. I could not complete it.
Ma'am, you may please continue with your presentation.
Yeah. So title of my paper is Quest for Inter. I don't know. Am I audible?
You are
Quest for
audible, ma'am.
Inter.
Please continue. You
Between
are audible.
gender and
Please
environment
continue.
in Assam.
Yes.
Man environment interaction is deep rooted in our culture in contains with other aspects of social interaction. Man and interaction is not gender neutral also. It is gender biased since the days of antiquity. Gender-based division of labor are present from agricultural field to industry to domestic chores. Women's inextricable relation with environment still reveals in this area of old globalized society, particularly indigenous and rural society. In India, women play a crucial and multifaceted role in environment interaction ranging from direct resource management to leading to environmental movement. They are often primary users of natural resources like water, fuel, making them actually aware of environmental changes. This intimate connection with nature has led to women being at the forefront of environmental conservation efforts and activism. Yet, women in India are not just passive users of the environment but active participants in its management and conservation. Their knowledge, experiences, and leadership are essential for addressing environmental challenges and building a sustainable future. Assam is as diverse community-centric state as India is. It is a habitat of many indigenous communities, including Assamese, Bengali, Manipuri, Dimahasa, Bodo, and many others. This paper tries to explore the women's interaction in different aspects of environment in different communities. Assamese women play a crucial role in agriculture and forest conservation by performing extensive field work, post-harvest processing, livestock management, and leading grassroots environmental movements. Their involvement includes vital tasks like transplanting, weeding, harvesting, while they also manage crucial post-harvest activities such as husking and processing crop and fish. Assamese women participate in fishing, collecting fuel, doing horticultural activities also. In forest management, women are involved in sustainable practices, water management, and protecting biodiversity also. One of the significant contribution of Assamese women in environment protection is a movement for Purnima Burman. Dr. Burman, who has mobilized Hargila Army and all-female team of conservation is dedicated to protect the great endurance stock which through this program are offered sustainable livelihood, training and education opportunities. This project is giving marginalized women a voice. Burman has been working as Dadara, Parachia and Singimari village in Kamrur district of Assam to save the endangered Hargila for years. The social impact of our conservation initiative are community empowerment. One of the Burma's most remarkable is the creation of Hargila Army, an all-women group that works to protect the stork and its habitat. These women, primarily from rural and marginalized communities, have gained recognition, training, and a sense of purpose through the involvement in conservation. They not only protect the stock but also become community leaders in environment and education. Their initiative empowered rural women, giving them a voice in the conservation space and involving their economic well-being. Economic upliftment. The conservation program have led to economic benefits for local women through skill development initiative. Women in Hargila Army are trained in weaving, handicrafts, integrating Hargila motifs into their products. These have provide them with a new income stream, improving the economic status of entire families while fostering a sense of environmental stewardship. Culture shift and awareness. Traditionally, the Hargila was seen as a bad omen in Assam culture, though Burma's execution and outreach efforts, perception have shifted. The bird is now celebrated, and community festival around Hargila conservation have become common. Hargila is now part of their culture, making plays and songs about bird as well as printing their motifs on cloth. This change in societal attitude is a vital long-term conservation success as people now take pride in protecting the bird and its environment. Education and capacity building through workshops, street play, and school program. Burman has educated thousands of people, particularly children, on the importance of biodiversity and conservation. The educational outreach ensures that future generations remain committed to protecting the Hargila and other wildlife species. Besides these Assamese women, in Assam, the tribal women belonging to Bodo, Rafa, Karmi, Dibasa, and many other communities contribute a lot to conserve biodiversity of their own areas. Bodo women have traditional belief and knowledge about plants and forests. They are influenced by their plants in their socio-cultural religious life. They have also the knowledge of herbal medicines out of wild plants for healing and caring of ailments. The socio-cultural religious activities of Bodo has served the purpose of conserving their traditional heritage with plans from long back. From a study conducted by the teachers of Biotechnology Department, Borderline University, it was found that Bodo women conserve about 48 different plants to use for socio-cultural and religious purposes in the BTC area. They also use some plants for healing wounds, pains, and other diseases. They use bell leaves for worshipping Lord Shiva. Erinthus plant is used to construct the kacha house. Thus, the conservation and using of different plants and their leaves in the name of socio-cultural and religion have significant in today's crisis of biodiversity conservation. In each society, it is observed that women's contribution to production is centered to biodiversity based on women's indigenous knowledge. They gather this knowledge from generation to generation, from grandmother to mother, and from mother, daughter, and so on. So the in relationship of Assamese women with women in Assam of each community with the environment is multifaceted, encompassing cultural practices, rather ecological knowledge and socio-political dynamics of the region. As a custodian of their environment, women play a crucial role in promoting sustainability and resilience against ecological challenge. Their experience and knowledge are vital for developing effective strategies for environmental conservation and empowerment in Assam. By acknowledging and supporting this connection, we can foster a more sustainable and equitable future for women in and environment in the Assam. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, madam.
Some photograph of Assamese women.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Professor Sen, for your presentation. But I have two observations. One is this paper perhaps can be made, can throw light on the challenges faced While your paper rightly points out the contribution of women towards the promotion of the environment, the conservation of the environment, and the various practices that have helped in the development of the environment, it must also include the challenges faced while undertaking these activities and how they have been overcome by the women. That I think would enrich the contents of this paper. Also, the other suggestion would be that this paper you can write it by using it women's enforcement of their rights with respect to the environment, using the Hargila army case study as the context of expression of it. So my suggestion to you would be to think on these lines of for upgrading the paper, and I think that would help.
Thank you, madam, for your valuable suggestion. Actually, it's a working paper. While developing
So
it
you
into a
might think of
publication form, I
incorporating the
definitely
challenges.
incorporate all these things.
Yes, please.
I could only concentrate last 2-3 days only.
Okay, okay. Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next paper presenter. It is Saket Chaudhary and Dr. Roddur De. I think we move on to the physical presentations now. Yes. So, no, I think there is one more, Arjudas. You are there? Yes. So maybe Saket Chaudhary's paper can be presented first, and yes, yes. Please go forward with your presentation.
Hello. It's done.
Hello.
Okay, sir. পিপিটিটা আছে এখানে একটুখানি এটা সোজা করে দেবে ভাই মেল করেছি
Hello.
এটা আছে
Hello. Good evening. A very good evening to all who are present. At the very beginning, let me thank the organizers for a lovely seminar workshop, and it's completely kudos to team Sociology Department of SNU and our main host, Seema. It's really lovely, and it was such a kind of nostalgic moment for me. On a very personal note, that I got to meet my teacher. My teacher, and in that ways, this is a great kind of a reunion of sociologists and young, sociological minds. But since we are at the very fag end of the seminar, it's a kind of a challenge, to keep our moral high so that we can present the paper to the fullest. But we'll try to be very brief because the other sessions also need to be carried on. So and also really thank you to Saket for making me come back in a major way. The title of the paper, Law, Education and Grassroots Activism, the Transformative Role of Altruist Yuva Welfare Society in Rural Hooghly. The whole idea is that this paper, which to a large extent is in the section of the law, law part of the session, but ours is probably, by far the only paper to do with law as per se. And it's a question of, sensitizing the people about law, So, and law and law, awareness and the education bit of it in the whole grassroots activism. And there are certain claims, there are certain achievements which any NGO would claim. But we would be very careful in locating the phenomenon of this law sensitization bit. And very interestingly, we are, as the seminar progressed from the very beginning, it was insisted that there should be a very fixed focus to it. And chiefly so, we are focusing on one NGO, that is Altruist Yuva Society, Welfare Society, who have contributed to a large extent in this. And Saket, by far, from the very beginning, was involved with this whole Altruist Yuva Welfare Society. But I think we should be very careful that our presentation should not be, like a, just putting forward a kind of a bias in terms of, this NGO. And there should be an insider-outsider viewpoint as well. And in that matrix of discussion, we should be focusing that this NGO is basically a youth-led movement in terms of their, social work in the specific area of, a research. And we wish to problematize the content and the context of transformation and activism along with awareness and sensitization principles. In this context, we must note that our presentation had, in the backdrop, viewpoints of Professor Rajani Kothari, and his grassroots democracy have been a kind of inspiration for the presentation. The people's participation in local governance and the central idea of non-party political process and the idea of decentralization and in various ways movements of the civil society and situating this as part of the whole civil society dialogue. And the idea of alternative politics for human dignity. We have also focused on C.H. Dholakia's work on all about trusts and NGOs, and also Gautam Mukhopadhyay's writing on democratic awareness through legal literacy. I would hand over to Saket to begin this whole thing with the background and the various things to follow.
Thank you very much, sir. It's really a very happy moment for me to share the stage with my own teacher, Professor Dr. Roddur De, sir. So basically, this work is just like a intensive case study, if I am not wrong, and it's very, very difficult to summarize the experiences of the field and grassroots level realities, because I have been myself associated with this NGO for the last 13 years. And it's actually, I was very much cautioned by my sir that I should not become over biased and just go on praising my NGO in this presentation.
It should not be a kind of, a fundraising kind of a thing,
No, definitely. So I'll just do a quick geographical background I would like to share, ma'am. Basically, this NGO, and not only this NGO, there are variety of organizations who are working in the field of legal awareness and legal aid. Because because I have taken this case study just to showcase the geographical and cultural diversities and how there is an immense lack of legal awareness even in the 21st century. I would, before I go on to the slides, I would just share 3 small incidents very quickly. First of all, our this particular NGO, it works in Hooghly district of West Bengal, and Hooghly district has a very unique geographical feature, that it is having towns, it is having villages, it is having urban areas, suburb areas. And first case that I would like to share, that is just 100 meters, and I am very sure that it is even less than 100 meters, a place called Urdi Bazar in Chandanagar of Hooghly district, just 100 meters away from the sub-divisional officer's office, SDO office of Chandanagar. And when we went there, we are regular visitors over there for the various legal awareness programs, because it's primarily a slum area and primarily marginalized sections of the community are living over there, irrespective of the gender aspect. And we are really shocked to see that people over there coming up to us and saying, यहाँ के आधार कार्ड बन रहा है, आधार कार्ड बनाने का सेंटर है. And we are like, आधार कार्ड तो एखाने হয় না, आधार कार्ड तो अपनी एसडीओ অফিসে যান, वहाँ কোন জায়গা, ও একবার গেছিলাম 10,000 টাকা আমার কেউ নিয়ে নিয়েছে, কিন্তু আধার কার্ড হয়নি. Now this is very ridiculous plus concerning and alarming, to say the least, because in 2025, if we get such responses, and it is again showcasing why the governmental initiatives, I am very much optimistic about governmental initiatives, because I have been a very close watcher of these initiatives, and NGOs like these, there are several NGOs and organizations who try to bridge the gap between the governmental schemes and projects and the beneficiaries. So, I would just like to share one thing, that it is a very right time to share that why the governmental initiatives like a Duare Sarkar or such type of initiatives which go for the local governance idea, they are important. Now, coming to the next slide, I would just like to share another incident while showcasing the research problem and my objectives. If the objectives we see, that study how educational based initiatives foster empowerment and examine the role of grassroots mobilization in improving access to justice. Now, in this particular aspect, I remember a very funny incident, that in the year 2017, before the COVID, we conduct regular legal aid camps in collaboration with the District Legal Service Authority of Hooghly District and SALSA and the State Legal Service Authority, and Hooghly Mohsin College is a very prime institution of law. It's my alma mater as well. I have studied LLB from there. So basically, while doing such initiatives, one such experience which I got was that we went to a village called Dogachia Gram under the Amnan Gram Panchayat in Hooghly, that is just 15 kilometers away from the district headquarters, or that is Chuchura. And when we convinced the people to come to the legal aid camp, we did the grassroots rapport building for the previous 3-4 days, and we convinced the people, je apnara ashun. And people came. It's true that people came, and then one person suddenly out of curiosity told, এই কাগজগুলো দেখাস না, তোর জমিটা নিয়ে নেবে মনে হচ্ছে. And within a blink of an eye, all the chairs were empty. And we are sitting with the Panchayat Pradhan of that area, the head of the department of Hooghly Mohsin College Law Department, Dr. Prem Kumar Agarwal sir, and we are sitting blankly and we don't know how to react to this. It was very difficult situations, but this again showed us that how much we lack in the matters of legal awareness and the matters of, we can say, the social capital building. Now this brings me to the theoretical framework that has been used in this particular research, because this again from the outsider perspective. Now coming to,
I think you have to
just 2
concise
minutes,
because we are running out
just
of
2
time.
minutes, madam, just 2 minutes on my part.
The theoretical bit, will be just very brief. We'll just simply mention that we have taken ideas from Paulo Freire, Pedagogy of the Liberation, where education should be a tool for for freedom, and the whole idea of learning should be dialogue based. The second would be Robert Putnam's social capital, where trust, networks, reciprocity among people are very important things. Communities with high social capital have more cooperation, and next would be Amartya Sen's idea of capability approach. Development and well-being measured not only by income but by people's capabilities, what they are actually able to do, and in terms of real freedom.
And thank you, sir. Just one more thing I would like to add. Just in the previous session today, we had Professor Patro speaking on various aspects, and he used a term. I have just noted it down, and it helped me actually. That it is the individualization of responsibilities. So this particular aspect makes it more important to understand why the organizations are important at this moment, apart from the governmental initiatives, and the methodology being intensive casework, ethnographic aspects have been used, and over a long period of time, participant observations have been used to make this paper a reality. And the major findings, as I have already told, there is complete lack of awareness among the communities, and not only the rural but the suburban, so-called, even the young people who are studying in the schools and the colleges, they are not aware about the importance of a birth certificate. They don't know what to do if the birth certificate goes missing. I'm not going into the direct legal aspect, but there is a gap between the legal mechanism and the common people of the society. And this again brings me to the findings of the particular project. That is, I would also like to add that it is very impossible for any organization to work without the help of other collaborative associations. And for that particular purpose, I would like to ask sir to go to the concluding note, because time is very short for the recommendations and how the other organizations are also helping various NGOs like this.
The sociological knowledge comes from hand-to-hand social work of sensitization about law awareness, and the lack of it, as fieldwork pointed out, that research should come in hand with awareness and sensitization campaign, and in the process, knowledge comes with activism as well. Funding is very important, where support becomes very crucial, like private universities like SNU, like this CSR initiative, and
I would just
presentations like this becomes like a praxis, where research, education, social work, activism comes in a matrix of discussion and debate.
And just to add on last bit, we had a lot of collaborations, and various organizations come up with the CSR projects for the various NGOs, and that is how a legal aware society can be built in our understanding. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Just one question from my side. Like, we understand, your paper has rightfully pointed out that there is a role of legal awareness to be brought within the precincts of the society if the society has to empower itself. But the point is, when we say education is important in generating this habit, do you think that introduction of legal education at the school level would help in bringing about any change at the societal level? Because our consciousness about law, as your fellow researcher has rightly pointed out, is very minimal. We try to have a note of the law only when we fall in trouble, and that too not directly but indirectly by taking the help of legal professionals. But it is the need of the hour that ignorance before the law is no excuse.
Absolutely.
And hence every person in the societal context needs to be aware of the laws so that they can make full use of it and help in the achievement of the goals that the law seeks to achieve. So
in fact, some kind of basic law education,
yes, so
I think should be there.
That must needs to be incorporated at the school
But
level.
we should also think about people who can't even get minimum education.
So for
and
that,
literacy.
legal aid comes as a resource.
Absolutely.
And I think merely having it in the law schools as part of its curriculum is not enough. The governmental initiative to spread the message that legal aid is something from which benefits can be taken by
Which
the
is
underprivileged.
which is integral
By
for
which,
any
by
kind
the
of,
underprivileged.
Absolutely.
Because the privileged few can always avail of the legal
Exactly.
professionals.
Absolutely.
That perhaps is
Because,
required.
ma'am, I would just like to add, because the people for whom the free legal aid is made, district legal service
They don't
authorities,
know that
they
it
don't
is
know
for
that it is for them, the women and the marginalized community, they don't even know. And it's so sad to see that the advocates and lawyers who are paid by the government for providing free legal aid, because of the lack of awareness of the people, they are again charged by the same lawyers again. So it's very, and we as an NGO or variety of NGOs, they're working relentlessly in different parts of the variety of districts. And nowadays, it's very good to see, encouraging to see various law departments. They are also coming with pro bono clubs and
Yes.
the thing. So in the coming days, I
So
think.
just to make you aware, the School of Law here also undertakes such kind of legal awareness activities.
Great.
And we would love to partner with you in such initiatives.
That is a great pleasure.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so
for
much.
Thank
us,
you so
madam.
much.
Thank you.
So the last, okay, one last question for you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Dey and Saket. So it was a very important discussion, and you spoke about university NGO collaboration. We are talking about transdisciplinary research. Ma'am already mentioned about legal aid clinic, which has been opened in SNU. So, what would be your suggestions or recommendations in terms of these collaborations, and how can we engage youth in these research studies, as active research partners? Thank you, ma'am.
One and only thing that needs to be done is the frequency of this type of collaborations should be increased. It should not be restricted to just once in a semester, and individual responsibilities should be given to the students. It's seen that they are very eager to take up responsibilities, but it's a lack on the part of the entire system, because due to variety of, you can say, constraints, the real life experiences are missing on the part of the younger generation who are even studying law.
I'll just add one more point to answer Madam's question, and that is, it is not only that they have to be engaged with these activities, but there should be a follow-up mechanism also.
Yes,
Like
yes.
just providing for knowledge or awareness for one time, it cannot serve the purpose. There has to be a follow-up initiative from the part of the students or the youth, if I may to speak in that manner, so that that follow-up exercises actually instill confidence in the minds of the masses that such kind of help is there for them and they can avail of it for their better future.
And ma'am, the last concluding thing, the masses also include the educated set of people, because in various colleges when we go for the legal awareness, like on basic aspects, like you can say the Motor Vehicles Act, relating to very common question is ami helmet pore ni amar chabita niye nilo police ki korbo. It's a very common question, but even these need to be catered, because laws are for the safety and for our comfort, not for harassing us as we think. Thank you.
You very
Thank you.
The last paper presenter, Arjo Das, please. Since we have already run out of time, we would request you to highlight the objectives of your research, the methodology that you have adopted in conducting your research, the findings of your research, and your conclusions, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My paper is titled The Sacred and the Sustainable, Intersecting Art and Ecology in Durga Puja of Contemporary Bengal. And it is a qualitative secondary research showing the evolving of Durga Puja into an aesthetic ecological spectacle. So the celebration of the folklore of goddess Durga visiting her paternal home with her 4 children has witnessed a significant shift of cultural symbolism over time. Now, initially the tradition was emphasized on religious devotion, community participation, and the artistic heritage of the Akchala idols, which now has been shifted towards making of a civic secular event where the urban scapes turn into ephemeral art galleries. The objective of my study is to understand how the art and ecology nexus works within the spectacle of Durga Puja. Then the gaps between public policies endorsing ecological sustainability and their execution during the festival, and to understand what are the factors behind such gaps. So the lineage of the festival has its root having a traditional Akchala form where all the 5 idols are fitted into one big background frame. And the Akchala idols embody the tradition of crafting the entire divine pantheon using primarily clay from Ganga river and straw, showcasing cyclical usage of natural resources and ecological infusion into culture. Artisans actually harness their indigenous knowledge, local biodiversity, and seasonal resources that cultivate reverence in ecological regeneration and natural material experimentations. But we see the shift from that to the elaborate theme-based Durga Pujas in Bengal marks a dramatic transition both in terms of artistic expression and ecological engagement. Theme pujas introduce newer art forms, multimedia and storytelling, often using non-local and synthetic resources unlike the Akchala idols, which are metals, plastics, synthetic dyes, plaster of Paris, etc., which actually distorts the ecological roots assimilated with the cultural practices. Therefore, the theme pujas have much higher ecological footprints rather than the older Akchala forms. Now, the democratization and celebration of global contemporary narratives through art actually influence the themes that much that the themes now consist social themes, political commentary, and global artistic influences. Theme pujas have a hallmark of tight integration of space and design, and often they give birth to new forms of hierarchy where sometimes marginalizing grassroots communities have eroded their intimate transmission of cultural knowledge rooted in their ecological belonging. Now we are going to talk about the rituals and ecological symbolism. We know since the beginning, 16th, 17th century when Durga Puja was initiated, we have seen Durga Puja has deep agrarian roots, and Durga Puja is a time where the entire cultivation cycle marks a pause. And Durga Puja has rituals like the Saptadhanya, that is offering 7 kinds of grains to the deity, and Navapatrika, where 9 local origin leaves are basically bathed within the river. And these actually show the regenerative powers of nature and cyclical rhythms of harvest and sustenance. And we know the ritual of offering the finest harvest, the finest seasonal harvest, which actually shows the sacralization of seasonal regeneration, which is very core to the ecological sustainability. Also, this is a ceremonial acknowledgement to the agricultural cycles that sustain the local economies, which is crucial for rural productivity and collective well-being. Thus, the rituals actually transcends the human-divine boundary, and nature becomes an integral component of the society instead of being an external entity. Also, Durga Puja can be seen as inclined towards ecofeminist ideas, because traditional roles of women as custodians of cultural rituals and environmental stewardship are reflected through the festival's reliance on natural cyclical elements. And Durga Puja uncovers the connection between the feminine, creative, and nurturing energy, the inseparability of women empowerment, and the ecological balance. So, we all know, who stay in Kolkata, Tala Barowari Puja Committee this year have organized the puja and opted for the theme based on Madhubani painting, which is a folk art of India. Also, Tala Prottoy, which is a very famous puja in Kolkata, they have come up with the theme Bij Angun, which is conceptualized by Bhavatosh Shutar, and it stands as an artistic resistance to the issue of the GMO seeds. And seed has been projected as a very central idea within the theme. So now we see that there is, due to the upsurge of globalization and industrialization, indigenous art forms indigenous art forms are being suppressed. And but Durga Puja is a significant exception to that fact. And in Durga Puja, indigenous art forms retain their artisanal essence but adapt to capital-centric modernity. Durga Puja becomes a model of sustainable material culture due to usage of clay, straw, bamboo, natural dyes that are the eco-friendly resources. And the integration of folk art and localized craftsmanship with contemporary framework is a very integral idea to the festival. And referring to Tapati Guho Thakurata's work In the Name of the Goddess, she has very rightfully mentioned that artistic reimagination during this festival turns into the artistic simulacra. So we see that nowadays government takes initiatives like awarding the puja committees Shera Shera Nirmal Pujo, which is eventually supported by state government departments like the Disaster Management Department or the Pollution Control Board. Even non-profit organizations like ENGIO, they sponsor awards for eco-friendly green pandals and themes upholding ecological sustainability. But I want to question that in spite of the upsurge of the green puja narrative, are the puja committees who are organizing the pujas, are they actually green? So now I'm going to show a video which is made by Brute very recently. I have speeded and edited it a bit due to time limitation. I'm going to play it now. Sound is not coming. Sound is not coming. Okay. So this video significantly shows that there is a prominent gap between the public policies taken and the execution of it in the aftermath of Durga Puja. And this is not just about the idol immersion process. We see the whole city becomes flooded during Durga Puja with hoardings and PVC banners and single-use plastic banners, which actually show the advertisements of brands that sponsor the Durga Puja committees to organize the puja. But irony lies in the fact that ecological sustainability is marketed through a medium that itself is a threat to sustainability. In spite of government orders to recycle them properly, often they end up broken or torn or neighborhood grounds or roadsides, as shown in the presentation. And also these banners are impermeable layers which hamper the natural degradation of other waste within the dhapa dumping station. And the environmental cost paid for such ecological insensitivity is huge, because trees are often hacked in the name of government order to set up the brand hoardings. And the gap between public policies and the real life aftermath of puja is very prominent, as I mentioned earlier. Now, sensitizing the people is very crucial in this phase, but economic factors play a crucial role in shaping the public practices of using such non-biodegradable materials. So, in 2025, Talaprotta has taken an initiative to do a zero waste celebration through a pilot project named Ecogenic that has been introduced by the KMC to recycle all types of waste on site, turning them into fuel. Now, what we see that the budgets allocated for the green initiatives are around 15 to 25 crores annually. And in spite of the government initiatives, the small puja committees cannot afford that much budget. And hence, it affects their usage of the biodegradable materials. And eventually, elite organizers benefit from these festival commercialization, the commercialization of the green narratives, but the less educated lower class laborers and the small vendors who receive no governmental financial backup to opt for such eco-friendly materials, it actually impacts the idea that everyone should have equal awareness about their ecological responsibility. And hence, the idea of the green puja remains a myth. Now, what I'm gonna show that 8,000 metric tons of waste every day is generated during the festival. And the lack of ecological awareness among the puja committees and the commoners can be seen as a structural failure, I believe, because firstly, this amount of waste management is is very difficult for the municipal government. And in spite of that fact, corporate sponsorship and commercial interests rule over the festival's green narrative to boost their brand value, where the superficial or token environmental actions taken by them actually leads to the greenwashing. And here lies the hypocrisy. The corporate companies, they heavily market the green narratives, but they barely have any impact on the public reality. So, thus, under the guise of Green Pujo, both government and the market actors perpetuate the festival's environmental contradictions, capitalizing on sustainability narrative for political economic gain without reducing pollution, waste, or ecological harm for just public welfare. In conclusion, I would like to say that the state and the municipal government play a very crucial mediating role, translating environmental policy into civic performance and insensitizing community level participation in green innovation. Within this new paradigm, artistic recognition lies on ecological sensitivity and ethical production, same as on visual grandeur and thematic ingenuity. It extends the prestige of art beyond visual spectacle to ecological stewardship. Sustainability becomes a marker of creative modality and leave a lasting impression on civic actors, cultivating new sensibilities of environmental responsibility, collective belonging and urban pride while turning Durga Puja into an evolving cultural ecosystem. Thank you.
Thank you. It was a very good presentation. You know, being the last presenter just before the valedictory session, that itself is a very big challenge. And you have actually taken up this challenge in a very nice manner, and your presentation and the topic which you have chosen to present upon is really thought-provoking and very wonderfully presented, right? But I'll just add a little bit. You have mentioned that Talaprotta has taken the pilot study to, you know, ensure that it's a zero waste Durga Puja, I mean, that they're trying to build. But do you have any idea what is the way in which they have immersed their Durga Puja? They have actually used hose pipes where, you know, loads of water has been sprinkled on the idols.
Yes.
So that also has another end, that there is a lot of water wastage, where we are talking in terms of researchers have shown that by 2030 there's going to be a huge scarcity of water. So I think Yes, maybe the mindset of one particular organizer of the Durga Puja has, navigated towards some environment-friendly initiative, but the methods in which they can be executed needs to be pondered upon. That's one point. The other point is, I think there has to be serious government intervention, not only in terms of papers and policies made for, greening the environment or ensuring the environmental sustainability concept, but these have to be put down into practice more stringently, with more stringent, if required, punitive measures incorporated, and festivities, whichever form it may be, whether it be the Durga Puja or any other puja for that matter. I think the enforcement of the policies that the government is making needs to be more highlighted upon. So my suggestion to you in this paper would be, just like the way you have highlighted the problems that are occurring, and that is really something to be pondered upon. If you think, you should also incorporate the various initiatives in forms of policies or governmental schemes that the government has come up to promote the environment, and the various measures that should be incorporated as the civic society. You should also highlight the challenges in the implementation of those policies, so that suggestive measures can come out through your research, and the entire community, not only the Bengal, but the rest of the country, can actually have good initiatives to work upon. That's the only suggestion that I have for you. Thank you very much. It was really a very good presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable suggestion. One thing I would like to add,
Yes.
that is, since last 2 years, Tala Pratyay has taken such initiative of idle immersion on site through water hose. And this year, in a podcast, one of the popular faces among the Durga Puja organizers of Tala Pratyay, he has mentioned that the water used for the idle immersion in the hose is not actually distilled water, and as a logic he has mentioned that this is monsoon and water levels have rised in all water bodies nearby, and if we use a small amount of water from those water bodies, it won't be a problem. So that's another factor which actually I found very surprising, that what logics you can provide.
So yes, so that is what we need to improve on our mindset too. Thank you.
Thank you
you so much. Yes, yes.
Thank you. Hello, sir. So, Arja, just one suggestion, maybe, you could think about it, which is Durga Puja is celebrated in different parts of the world now.
Yes.
So, how about getting in touch with one of the puja committees, in one
Abroad.
of the, where there is a big Bengali community, and we could learn from each other, in terms of sustaining Durga Puja, this tradition as well, and also how to make it more sustainable.
Okay, I'll definitely work on it. And ma'am, I would expect, if you have any suggestions, like how I can contact or something, I'm open to that. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so thank you very much. We have come to the end of this session, and there has been some really qualitative research papers that have been presented from, virtual reality, how that can be made use of in trying to invigorate the youth towards environmental stewardship, to the Durga Pujas, from learning on legal education and awareness towards the conservation of the environment, to the parenting tips that could be given to the children on how to ensure that there is a proper development of the children in the society in the rightful manner. So all the paper presenters, from discussing about the environment and the women's participation in it, to idol making communities and their roles and their challenges in the upliftment of the society have been very beautifully put upon, and we really hope that all the discourses that have happened in this particular session help not only the researchers present here but also across the country and the policymakers to draw inferences from them and emulate them for the betterment of the society. Once again, I thank the organizers, the Department of Sociology, for making me part of this conference and helping me also gain some insightful knowledge and have an idea about the varied kinds of works that are being undertaken by researchers across the country. I also take this opportunity once again to congratulate the department for initiating this conference along with ICCSR and the Indian Sociological Society. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here.
So now we move on to the valedictory address, and we have with us our Professor Dr. Shubir Kumar Dhar, Dean, School of Humanities and Social Sciences, Sister Nivedita University, Kolkata. I would like to call Sir on stage and our convener, Dr. Shima Dotto Ma'am, to felicitate Sir. Sir, please.
Good evening, everybody. It's pretty late in the day, and I'm sure all of you must be very tired after so many days of wonderful seminaring. One of the greatest things of SNU is that our departments are very, very active ones. The students are extremely enthusiastic about doing activities beyond classrooms. The faculty are completely committed to advancing the image of this university, and the way they work and the way they bring together so many talents from all over India is something which is amazing. Because never forget, this is a young university and a young department that you represent. And any successful seminar you see is like the tip of an iceberg. Because behind the accomplishment, behind the papers, behind the presentations, behind the intellectual excitement that a conference like this generates, there is a lot of hard work which is not seen on the surface. So I would first like to congratulate all of you for bringing off this marvelous conference. The way in which you have worked, the way in which you have reached out to the corners of this country and beyond, and the way in which you gelled everything together, the way in which you organized and held this seminar is something which I think is an accomplishment by itself. Not only that, you see, the most important element is, of course, in a conference, is, of course, the argumentation, the discussion, the stimulation that such events generate. And what you have done, unfortunately, I wasn't able to be present all the 3 days, but I did spend some time yesterday and a few minutes today. And I must say that the way in which young presenters particularly are representing their ideas show that the future of sociological studies in India, and in Kolkata in particular, is extremely bright. And obviously, you and your mentors, your teachers, your professors are all participants of what you have done. So once again, congratulations everybody. And I must also thank all those wonderful people who took out the time to come here to join us in the precincts of this university to share their ideas and thoughts with us. To you, every single external expert, we are deeply indebted. And I hope that in the future, the proceedings of this seminar will be published in a book form. Because you see, seminars come and go. Ideas are stimulating, yes, but they also have a habit of being forgotten by the listeners. But when something is put in print, that becomes a lasting legacy that future generations can look forward to. So thank you once again. Thank you, HOD, Professor Dr. Shima Datta, and everyone here for inviting me to deliver this brief valedictory address. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would request our convener, Dr. Shima Datta, to kindly give the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everybody. So here we are at the end of the 3 days National Conference and Young Scholars Workshop organized by the Department of Sociology at Sister Nivedita University in collaboration with Indian Sociological Society on gender, environment, development in the digital age. First and foremost, I would like to thank our Chancellor, Sir Shottam Roy Chaudhary, for always being such supportive, because in last June, when I got a call from Indian Sociological Society, the first person whom I texted was him, and he said, go ahead. So first thanks goes to him, because he has always given us the path that you should think different, think out of the way. And the most important person for the department and for the school at that point of time. He was the Vice Chancellor, now he's the Pro-Chancellor, Professor Dhrubajyoti Chattopadhyay. I will quote him, he said, "Joy Ma Kali bole doob dao, hoye jabe." So at last we did it with the team. The team is very important. Professor Shanku Bose, from the day we started and we got the ICSR project, ICSR deserves a special round of applause because they have made the event more grand. So we tried, but ICSR had made it more grand, given us a platform so that we can give you the best kind of hospitality and everything. So thanks to them. Professor Shanku Bose was like, "Go ahead. Sir, we haven't received the fund yet. Go ahead, you do it. SNU is there for you. All the administrative heads are there. Go ahead." So special thanks to him. Our registrar sir, our VC admin, our pro VC academics, and of course, our beloved Dean sir. He was so encouraging that it gives us that, you have achieved something. We are such, in our department is more young than the university, and we are very young faculties. So everybody says, "Are tora to bacha, tora ki korbi?" It's like that. So Shubir sir was like, "No, you did it. You have proved that you are not kids, but you are someone who can do beyond." So thank you, sir. And my co-convener, I don't call her Priyanka Dotto, I call her Priyanka D. So she has been our support system. She's the senior most of the department, supporting us in all ways she can. And my organizing team, Dr. Rikia Ghoshal, Margaret, Noenika, they are very young, our visiting faculties. Mohor is also not there today because of some commitment. Chandni is there. And Nobomita is also there, but not being there, thanks to her also. Okay. And our research scholar, the first research scholar, Anindita, we always, when I was a research scholar, I have an experience of organizing some events in my university, and the legacy continues. We have a very good research scholar here. I hope she gives a pathway to their juniors as well. And the students. The sociology department is incomplete without the students. আমি একজন করে নাম নেব না, আমি নাম নিতে ভুলে যাই, ওরা রেগে যায়, ম্যাম আপনি আপনাকে ভালোবাসেন না। So all of them are very important. I will mention 2, 3. See, the ex-students, a department is known for its alumni. And we have our alumni here. Shantani is there, Kuhu and Mamata is there. They have been supporting us. So we are successful as a department as well. Amader UGC te feedback chegeche, what the alumni thinks. Here's the feedback, they are live here working with us. So ami jokhon Xavier's e portam, they said once a Xaverian is always a Xaverian. Now we can say once an SNUite is always an SNUite. So they are here. So thank you all and the participants. What can I say? They have traveled from Gujarat, Hyderabad, Delhi, Assam, Tripura, and of course the greater part of Kolkata, West Bengal, everywhere. So thank you. And if we have lagged in something, I apologize on behalf, but hope to see you all in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. With this, we come to the end of the event. I would request all the participants to kindly receive their certificates from the green room. And before you receive the certificate, please do fill up the feedback form that is given in the group. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. The dinner will be available from 6:30 p.m. Thank you.